So welcome everybody to this Social Recruitment in Practice webinar. My name is Lisa Nixon and I'm the Director of Employer Engagement here at AKG. And today we're going to be going through what social recruitment means in practice and why it's not just good for the communities that we serve, but also why it makes real business sense. So for me, social recruitment is not only the right thing to do for businesses, but also the smart. And we're going to be delving into some of the why around that. And also we're going to hear from some great employer partners, and we're also going to hear from some of our AKG colleagues at AKG Health, and we're also going to hear from some of our skills training pathway providers in the area. So in terms of agenda, we've got a short welcome and introduction from myself. I'll be going into more detail of what that social recruitment and practice means to us here at AKG and what that might mean for you guys in the audience. We'll have that PGL insight from an employer point of view, Kindred as well, and then we'll have AKG Health with Heidi coming on board and skills pathways with back to work. And then we'll have a short period of time at the end for a Q&A. And we'll have a bit of a close. But just wanted to make note that at the top bar of your screen, you'll have your normal chat function. And just to the right of that, you'll also have a Q&A function. If you're having general chit chat around just saying hi's to each other, if you know people who are on the call, keep that in the main chat. But if you've got a specific question, please can I ask you to put that into the Q&A function. The Q&A function will allow you to submit questions and will allow us to see that in a logical order. And those of you who are in the call and also wanting to submit questions, have a read of the questions that are already being submitted. If there's one similar to the ones that you want to submit, you can actually vote to move that up to the top, and we can look to make sure we prioritize them in number of importance as we move through the webinar. So what I wanted to do is give just a little bit of a brief introduction of who we are here at AKG. Some of you will be familiar with us, and I'm super aware that the audience is a mixture of employers and providers. But just to give you guys a really brief overview of who we are. So the AKG Group, we're a global business, but within the UK, we're made up of 4 businesses. The business that we are predominantly working with and delivering this webinar through today is AKG Employment. Many of you will know AKG Employment because we deliver the Restart contract, and we deliver that across a number of geographical areas, but we also hold other contracts that we deliver as well. We've also got AKG Learning within the group. This is a business that supports those to upskill. We do that via apprenticeships, predominantly in the early years sector and the housing sector, but we also deliver a highly successful ESOL provision that we're super proud of, and we were runners-up in an ERSA award last year, so we're very proud of that team and the work that they do. We also have an amazing business called AKG Health, and this is all about better health, better work, and better lives. This is about giving people that holistic approach and moving them and supporting them into work through health interventions. And then we also have Intuitive Thinking Skills, which is a behavioural change business. This business is built on lived experience, with around 70% of staff actually going through or living through some of the challenges that they're now teaching and supporting others on. And it makes our group a really rounded group that helps people move forward within their health, skills and employability. And we're extremely proud to be supporting our local communities to do that. So on to the next, in terms of if you're an employer on this call, and we're looking at how we can bring things together. As I said, our group looks to kind of have that holistic approach of supporting individuals with their health, employability and skills. And there's just a little bit more on the screen, I won't read through it all, about what we actually do and how we do that on a daily basis. And really our point and our kind of impact that we want to have at AKG is that we can help all aspects of people to help them move forward and stay into sustainable work. And in turn, we help businesses recruit sustainably, and we also help them recruit from more diverse talent pools. So before we move on and I talk lots more, I want you guys to interact with me. Those of you who are wearing an AKG banner, they all have the joke that I love a Slido, so it wouldn't be a webinar with Lisa without one. So please get your phones out, scan the QR code, and tell me what you think social recruitment means to you. If you can keep it to one sentence, that would be really great. I'll just give you a few minutes. Giving people chances, expanding opportunities. Love it. Broader reach. Hidden candidate pool. Love that. Nice. And we're seeing some kind of emerging trends coming through, accessibility, inclusivity, um, working with employers. And I think it's super important that we realize that social recruitment can mean many different things, and that is okay. But one of the main messages that I always want to give around social recruitment is that social recruitment isn't about lowering the standard. It's actually about widening the door. Yeah. So a lot of people think that oh, if I recruit socially, it's slower, or if I recruit socially, there's not as much skill, there's not as much talent. That is completely wrong and is a bit of a myth. And what we're here to do, and a lot of you are already doing that, is to kind of squash them myths and help employers realize that actually social recruitment brings talent, recruitment brings speed, social recruitment brings volume when you're connected with the right ecosystem to be able to do that. And that's what today is about. It's about bringing the people together in the social recruitment space to make sure that we can have the most impact, not only for the communities that we serve, but also for the employers that we are working with. So it's really good to hear that we're kind of all on the same page around that. So on the screen, there's just a few things that I've pulled out around what social recruitment means to us here at AKG and me and my teams when we're out and speaking to providers and we're speaking to employers. And I think this is what employers get when they are interconnected and they work truly in partnership with employability providers. And that quote that I just made a few seconds ago says, it's not about lowering the bar, it's about widening the door. It's just super, super important. And I've had some really interesting conversations with employers in the build up to this webinar, talking about how do you do that? Because a lot of people think that in order to recruit inclusively and through social recruitment mechanisms, it takes lots of time. It takes lots of effort, and sometimes it might take lots of money. Or maybe in their mind as employers, that time equals money, right? So what we really need to do and what we want to be doing is raising the awareness that actually using social recruitment practices means it's better for communities, it's better for business, it's fairer hiring by design. So it actually builds that fairer hiring design into your recruitment strategy. And what we're not asking is for employers to rip the recruitment strategy up, but actually just look at real small practical changes that can support their recruitment strategy to be more inclusive. Things like using inclusive language, things like using plain English when they're doing their job descriptions, looking at how they communicate and where they communicate their jobs, what platforms they're using, etc. These are small practical things that can have huge impact on the end user. And we're supporting some businesses who have done zero social recruitment last year to doing 30% of their workforce planning in that space. It helps you build a targeted outreach. So if that's what you're looking for and that's what you need, that's super important. And it also, we can help support around that retention piece and wrap around support. So that's just a little bit of grounding from me. You'll be lucky and happy to know that you're not going to hear me speaking for the whole webinar. So I'm going to pass on now to PGL, who's going to come in and do a little bit of a spotlight. So I'll pass over to you, Dave.
Lovely. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully this should come up.
We've got
fantastic. That. Can you all see that okay?
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay, so over the course of the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to talk a little bit about social recruitment from PGL's perspective. And I'm going to, towards the end, I've got a video that's actually created by AKG about one of our success stories recruited through AKG into PGL. So that's a great story to share with you. So over the course of the next 10 minutes, I'm going to cover who PGL are. I'm going to give you my perspective on social recruitment. I'm also going to talk about some of the benefits and challenges that we've come across. And I'm also going to give you some examples and some case studies of those successes. So first of all, who are PGL? Well, we are an outdoor education provider providing residential trips for mainly school groups in term time, but also for children's groups, families, independent kids in the holiday times as well, but the school times when we're most busy. We have 16 sites across the UK. They tend to be out in the countryside where we've got loads of space for the kids to do the 20 different outdoor sports that we offer. That's great, but can present some challenges when it comes to transport. We employ 2,000 staff each year, mainly on seasonal contracts from 2 months up to 9 or 10 months a year. Excuse me. We do offer on-site accommodation. So if people want to pack a bag and move away and live on site, then they can do that, a bit like people going off to university. And for some people, particularly younger people, that can be fantastic, or people who haven't got ties. But if they've got mortgage, rent, kids, caring responsibilities, that's not going to work. And then they need to be able to travel and commute in every day. The kind of jobs we offer are children's activity instructors, where we provide all the training in the 20 different outdoor sports that we do, plus some more regular hospitality roles like catering assistants working in a self-service school dinners type canteen, housekeeping assistants cleaning guest accommodation, and retail assistants working in the bar and shop. Excuse me. For most of these jobs, we don't need previous experience. We're looking for the right attitudes, the right values. That's probably more important for us. And that's where recruiting socially can come in. If you've got people with the right attitudes, it doesn't matter if they haven't got a lot of work experience, because we can train them. I want to talk about equity, diversity, and inclusivity. This is really important to us, not just from recruitment perspective, but as a whole brand. We're working towards getting better representation of all the communities we serve working for us in our colleague team, and also increasing social mobility as well. That's a real big part of what we do. Just yesterday, we announced that we have been certified as a B Corp company. Now, B Corp, if you've not come across it, is the highest standard of governance and responsibility for how a business can operate. And just 0.02% of UK companies have B Corp status. And it's everything from how you recruit, how you support your employees, how you dispose of your waste, how you buy your energy, how you manage your sites, everything. In addition, excuse me, we are a disability confident employer. You may well have come across this, the white logo at the bottom right before. We also have neurodivergent trained interviewers to support candidates through the interview process who are neurodivergent or autistic. And throughout this, with our employees, we monitor age, gender, ethnicity, sexuality, health and disability issues, so we can see how we're doing. But it's really important with this that you get people on board to understand why you're asking them these quite deeply personal questions, because otherwise people just won't tell you, and they'll underreport issues. They won't tell you stuff. They've got to understand that you're doing it for the right reasons. So in terms of social recruitment, as Lisa's touched on, some of the groups in society that we will excuse me, include will be young adults and those not in education, employment or training, or NEETs, older workers aged 50 plus, people returning to work after a break, maybe due to parenting or a health issue, people with health issues or disabilities in general, and neurodivergent people. So those are just some of the categories that we work with. I'm aware that Lisa's slide mentioned care experience. I'm going to touch on that in a moment, and also ex-offenders. There are some areas that are easier or harder for us, and for us, engaging with ex-offenders, because we're looking to have people working and living on site with kids, is more challenging. We have looked at it, but it may not be the thing for us. So social recruitment, why should you do it? Well, As a business, you'd be happy to sell your products or services to everyone in the community. So why not recruit from everyone in the community? Why would you limit yourself to just 70, 80% of the workforce that's out there? Tap into that other 20% and it can help to fill up the jigsaw of recruitment, the jigsaw of your workforce. It also sends out a very clear message that you care about people, and people will respond well to that. Some of the benefits: you can hire and train young adults and shape them in your workplace. If you take people with the right values and who are keen to learn, you can create employees. I'll give you an example. One of the organisations we work with, Newcastle United Foundation, have an ABC approach to getting people back into work, or into work in the first place. A is any job, get some experience. Then go for B, a better job. And once you've got even more experience, you can go for C, which is the career job. Nobody goes straight to that career job with zero experience. So it's steps along the way. In addition, older workers may have maturity and life experience to offer, which is fantastic to build that in, particularly for us, where we have a predominantly young workforce. Having some older people as well gives a real good balance, and that really benefits the atmosphere on centre. Unlike recruitment agencies, social recruitment is often free of charge. So from your bottom line, that makes a lot of sense. And working with different groups can help fill the gaps in that recruitment jigsaw. You might have some full-timers doing 40 hours a week. You might have some part-timers working within school run hours who are parents. You might have some people who can do evenings or weekends. And by recruiting across the board, you can fill up the gaps and fill all the gaps you have. Some of the challenges that we've come across, and it's good to be aware of these, is that you may be dealing with candidates who have less experience in work and applying for work. They may have less resilience than some regular candidates, and they may be less tech savvy. I'm aware that our application process is predominantly online now, and even if you're doing a job that doesn't involve a lot of computer work, you have to go through a lot of computer work to get the job, and that can be challenging. So if you're aware of that, you can give support to people through that process and make sure that no one is left out or excluded just because of that tech savviness, if that's not a key part of the job role. You may also be dealing with people who are less likely to drive or have their own transport. Now, if you're in a town or a city, it may not be a problem. We're out in the countryside, it can be a challenge for us. If you're dealing with people who have to go through occupational health checks, that's a really important part of assessing those reasonable adjustments, but it can take time. So be aware of that. And again, that can have an impact on people's resilience to get through the process. People may also have a lack of ID documents, not just for right to work, but possibly for the DBS. Now, not every employer will need to DBS check their staff, but we do. And coming up with 3 bits of ID isn't always straightforward for people who've not got a lot of work or life experience or come from a disadvantaged background. Also be aware that there may be gaps on the CV, which may make for a patchy reference history. So in summary, have a look at the application process and just think, could it be more user-friendly? Are we blocking out people who you don't want to block out? Now, some of the organisations and the schemes that we've been involved with are on the screen in front of you. Lisa's already mentioned the Restart scheme, which has been fantastic for us, working with AKG and some of the other providers. We also engage with Job Centre Plus. Restart and Job Centre Plus are free. Why would you not engage with them? Through the middle of the screen, we've got some of the football club foundations that we work with: Liverpool FC in the Northwest, Crystal Palace in London, Brentford Community Sports Trust in London, and in between them, you've got Newcastle United Foundation in the Northeast. And then below that, we've got some other schemes dealing with specific groups. So the Care Leaver Covenant supports people who are care experienced. Restless, it's an online community for people aged 50 and over. And Ambitious About Autism is a charity introduced to us by the Job Centre, who helped us shape our training and train the interviewers who support neurodivergent candidates. So all these people have been fantastic in helping us along the way. So let's give you some numbers. We had 10 job offers from candidates through AKG last year in the Lincolnshire area, so that's fantastic. We had across 3 sites in Swindon, Weymouth and Torquay, another Restart provider, 3 different offices, came up with 18 job offers last year. And in our South Yorkshire site at Dearne Valley, I had the best ever day I had at a job centre in Mexborough, 28 applications and 10 job offers. That's from one day at a job centre. And this year, from the local restart provider in Doncaster, we've had 8 job offers. So those are some really good numbers, and they'll add those sort of numbers will add value to any business. Plus, in Weymouth, my colleague Chris has been working on a neurodiversity project with Weymouth Job Centre. It's been running for 2 seasons now, and this year we've hired 4 people. So there's some great numbers there that can make a real difference to our business and could to yours as well. Next, I'm going to focus in on one individual. This is Jack, and Jack is the gentleman stood on the ground managing the rope in this climbing picture there. And you can see him being filmed by Jack Wickenden. And I'm going to start playing now the video that Jack created, which I'm proud to share with you.
My name is Jack Stowe, and I work as an activity instructor at PGL, K-Folk Court. I worked at PGL for the last 6 months. I do a lot of climbing, problem solving, axe throwing, archery, and recently water sports.
So the benefits to participants working with PGL are like looking at the different sectors that they could then work in. So you could work in maintenance, you could work in cleaning, you can work in housekeeping. There is hospitality, there's customer services, there is the activity side, but then there's traveling overseas and gaining additional experience over there, whether or not that's in instructor roles or it's as team leaders.
Some of my closest friends I've met here working at PGL. We met at the training, and after that everyone connected and everyone's good friends, everyone can have a laugh together, everyone talks together, and no one's ever feeling left out.
Well, I think Jack has really made a fantastic success of his first season. He's settled really well into the role. He seems to be enjoying it. He's talking about what he could do next season, which is great to hear. He's also been able to take on loads of extra training, and that makes the job more interesting as an activity instructor.
My favourite part about PGL is being able to develop as a person. So I've just completed a 3-week PSI course and also got a fencing qualification, which is nationally recognised. And after completing my qualification, I can now take that outside of PGL as well. In the future, I want to try become an activity specialist, so then I can step up a little bit and also still run sessions, but also have like a bit more like duties in the day.
So there we go. Seeing videos like that always puts a smile on my face, and thank you to Jack for creating that video. One last little example from the Northeast, the Newcastle United Foundation, a community foundation, a charity wing of the football club. In the main picture there, you can see Jason in the blue jacket. He's an activity instructor, and he's surrounded by 2 staff from Newcastle United Foundation. Jack started off on a hospitality course with Newcastle United Foundation and got working at the football ground for Sodexo. He then went on another course with Newcastle United Foundation that PGL was involved with. And there's a couple of flyers for the different schemes we've been involved with him over the last 4 years on the screen there. He then was hired as an activity instructor and been working at Ford Castle in Berwick-upon-Tweed, Northumberland, ever since. Jason is fantastic. Jason is autistic, by the way. What Jason is very good at, and his autism actually is a benefit here, is whenever he's given feedback on how to improve his performance in his job role, he remembers every little bit. Now, not all staff will do that, but Jason does. So it's great. And you might be able to make out he's wearing the sunflower lanyard. That's a great example to our guests, the children who come to us. If there are those who have hidden disabilities, neurodivergencies, Jason is now a role model for neurodivergent people, making that role accessible for other people as well. So there we go. Excuse me. Thank you very much for listening. If I can help you, please feel free to find me on LinkedIn or drop me an email, or take your questions and answers. But now I'm going to hand back to Lisa. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And it's so great to hear the exact same words and messages that us as providers deliver around social recruitment from employers. It kind of lands just with a little bit more weight when we got them real case studies. So thank you so much. I'm now going to pass over to Jack. So Jack, if you'd like to get ready and get your slides up. Jack is from Kindred, and Kindred is one of the other amazing employer partners that we have here at AKG. And he's going to talk just a little bit about what they're doing in the social recruitment space and how they're working with employability providers and skills providers. Over to you, Jack.
Can you see my screen?
We can see you all good.
Perfect. Good start. Hello, my name's Jack. I'm the recruitment manager from Kindred. I'm going to run through some slides where we're going to talk a little bit about what we do as a business and then how we incorporate inclusive recruitment, social recruitment into our business. And then I'll talk a little bit about the culture that we create for all of our staff members across the business. So we was formed in 1988, and that started off as a window cleaning company. It's since progressed to, that says over 2,500 cleaners, but this year we're well clear of 3,000 staff members up and down the UK. And we have extensive industry knowledge and collaborate with multiple schemes and communities across the UK. We have four key values as a business. One of them is making connections, and that is for people like myself, making connections with restart providers like AKG, which has allowed me to become a guest speaker on this webinar. Behaving with integrity, whatever we say we're going to do, we do it. Being bold, enjoying the work we do, and community spirit. So as you can see there, we take part in loads of community support events like litter picking. We've done 2 now over the last 2 years. We've done 2 rounds of tree planting as well. So we're very keen on giving back to the community. As I said, we formed in 1988 by our chairman, Richard, and we have gone all the way through now to, that's 2025, but 2026, now 3,000 members of staff. Recruitment's a big thing at Kindred. Obviously, with 3,000 members of staff, we take on about 200 cleaning operatives each month. I joined Kindred in January 2025, so last year, and since then I've headed up a recruitment department. With that, we've extended partnerships with companies like AKG and other restart providers like Reading Partnership. We also partner with Shore Trust for disability work. Purple Tuesday, we've had a long relationship with. And what that's allowed us to do is really delve in on social recruitment. When I joined in January 2025, I wasn't aware of what social recruitment was. I spent years as a recruitment consultant constantly seeking for really experienced candidates on job boards and sending them over to employers who would only be looking for the best of the best. What I'm thankful for is moving over to Kindred. It's allowed me to tap into the social recruitment, inclusive recruitment market, where in our industry, where we're looking for entry-level work with no experience needed, it's really good to partner with companies like AKG, which we take. This year alone, we've taken 60 plus people from the Restart scheme and put them into one of our many sites across the UK. Which is incredible numbers. And I think actually it was yesterday on a meeting with AKG, we've done 170 placements across our partnership with AKG, which is incredible numbers. And that's 170 people that wasn't given a chance before. And with Kindred, they've been able to get themselves into a job. And I'm sure people we've taken years ago are probably deep into a career now, maybe in finance. I think some people just need a head start to get into a workplace, and then they can progress far and few after that. Pressing on screen. Inclusive recruitment for us. This gives a little bit of an example about things we do with like disability, with candidates with disabilities or that served in the armed forces, and we recruit for a minimum criteria, which is very easy to attain. It is literally living within a distance of one of our sites and being able to commit to the work hours. So we make it as easy as possible for candidates to join us as a business, and we support any candidates that declare a disability or that they've been in the armed forces with reasonable adjustments throughout the workplace as well. We have three pillars of our corporate social responsibility. So CSR, which is I hope every employer is looking more into as the years go on. We have people, community, and environment. We give back to our people by using companies like AKG, meaning that any person has easy access to joining us and working with us at Kindred. Our community, we give back to our community again by hiring through social values, but also with things like donating to local food banks if we win a cleaning contract. So if we make money, we ensure that some of that goes back into the community as well. And our environment, we have so many different environment policies and schemes. I'm not all too clued up on the environment, but I know that our CSR and ESG team do an incredible amount of work into trying to become net zero, and even planning things like litter picking and tree planting. That's the extra mile you can go within your business. Culture as well over here. So this is many of our cleaning staff, most nowadays that have been brought to us through companies like AKG. We provide above and beyond awards for exceptional work, which is we pass over a certificate with a £30 voucher that they can spend on shopping as well. We're a level 2 disability confident employer, and I believe we're going for level 3 next year. We're also partnered with Purple Tuesday, which have helped us with our growth as a disability confident employer, making sure that our policies and our recruitment is inclusive of disability candidates. And we do an incredible deal with loads of different disability charities in recruitment. We have guaranteed interview schemes if they declare a disability, meaning that any single person that declares a disability has at least the opportunity to go and prove themselves at the interview stage. We also have Talk to Tina, which is a scheme we give back to all of our 3,000 employees. We're big advocates of supporting with domestic abuse support through all of our employees. And our theory is that if you're at work, that might be the only place you're safe in a domestic abuse situation. So we've created Talk to Tina, that any one of our 3,000 members of staff can call up our office and they'll have trained people there to support them. We're also members of the Armed Forces Covenant. I've worked tirelessly over the last year to get us to a silver award, which we've just submitted our applications. I'm hoping by the end of the year we will be a silver award of the Armed Forces Covenant, but that's myself and a colleague over at Chicksands Priory, meeting all of the Armed Forces community over at that event as well. And I think that ties in perfectly with social recruitment. I think moving over, I think they call it moving into civvy life and getting what they would call a normal job. I think it's so hard to transition from where they were in the armed forces. So as a recruitment manager overseeing our recruitment across the board, we do want to make it as easy as possible that anyone that is a member of the armed forces community can move over to us and feel accepted. We also have Wellbeing Ambassador scheme that we give back to all of our employees, which is we have an email address and some Microsoft forms that any one of our employees can get in touch with one of those 5 people. What one happens to be myself, and we support our employee wellbeing as well. That is it for me. Back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Jack. And I think again, it's just really relevant that we're able to bring real employers with real stories. 170 people placed just through AKG, through a social recruitment arrangement, is unbelievable. I can imagine that there were hundreds of other businesses and employability businesses, especially as part of the React group. So the React group is a group that brings together a group that delivers the restart as primes. And I'm sure there are hundreds and hundreds of people who have went through work and moved into work with Jack and Kindred over the last few years. And we really want to grow that. And what we also want to do is, and I'm sure, Jack, you will be happy for me to say, and Dave, that anyone on this call who is working with people who are from an unemployed background, please do reach out to the employers, and please do see how you can support some of your participants. And if there is any employers on this call who are thinking, hey, I really want to get involved in this and I'm just not sure where to start, it really does make business sense. This isn't just the right thing to do. It isn't just a good thing to do. It actually can really, as Dave suggested, fill the gaps in your recruitment. help you build a more diverse workforce and really bring your recruitment into the next level. So please reach out to us if you're thinking about any of them things. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Heidi. So Heidi is from AKG Health, and she's going to be just speaking about how we join up that health piece. And she has a really good line, and she says, health should never be a bolt-on. And I love that, and it sticks with me with everything that I do. Health needs to be front and center. If we're healthy, we can go to work, we can progress, and we can stay and work. So Heidi, without stealing any more of your thunder, I'm going to pass over to yourself. You may just want to go put yourself onto present mode.
Morning, everyone. As Lisa said, I'm Heidi. I'm from AKG Health. I'm going to be talking to you today about social recruitment, obviously, as you would expect, but how it's supported through health interventions. And in particular today, I'm going to highlight some of the work that we do with apprenticeships. But before we get into social recruitment, I wanted to talk a little bit about AKG Health. Not many people are aware that AKG Health is part of AKG UK. And also why we're particularly passionate about this agenda. People will hear me like banging on about this all the time. So essentially, we've got 4 pillars of support that we offer at the moment. One of those is work readiness, and that's working on predominantly employability programs, where we're providing practical support for participants who need that support to get them ready for work and in a lot of cases move into work. Our work sits at the point where health, confidence, well-being and opportunity meet employment outcomes. And so I think it's really, really important that we're getting those people ready. And this is why I'm so passionate about this, because we spend so much time getting our participants ready for work and actually then going into a workplace where we've not always got those employers that are as inclusive, and sometimes that can be quite damaging for those relationships. Secondly, we do workplace health, so we're helping employers improve well-being, reduce absence and strengthen performance through workplace health programs. We offer counselling, where confidential support helps people manage life challenges. We have, within our team, we have BACP registered counsellors who offer that support as well. And then fourth, we offer learner support. So we're helping apprentices and learners stay on track, succeed and progress. And we recognise that, particularly in the world of apprenticeships, going into starting a new job, but also having study to complete as well, can sometimes be quite challenging. And as we know, life kind of throws things at us, and being able to keep those things balanced can sometimes be quite tricky. So across all of this, the thread's simple: healthier people create stronger workplaces. And that's kind of why we've tried to span the support that we offer across these 4 pillars. We've now supported thousands of individuals and delivered over 35,000 interventions. So we do know, we've seen firsthand what helps people to succeed. One of the clearest, oh God, I've gone on to the next thing. So when we talk about social recruitment, we're talking about widening access. As Lisa's mentioned before, we talk about like widening the door and giving people, recognising potential in people who may be overlooked, maybe where they've not gone through traditional hiring methods. Dave's already touched on that. Inclusive hiring is only the start. So all those things that we've talked about today is making sure that we're putting those things in place when we're at the recruitment stage, but the real impact really comes when people are supported to stay in employment. So just 3 things that I wanted to highlight is many strong candidates come through, and we essentially, we don't mean to do this, but we do recruit for the polish, for potential, not for polish. And so many strong candidates are screened out because they don't interview confidently, or they have CV gaps or health histories, caring responsibilities is growing, or they've taken a non-traditional route into work. But it's not the same. You know, those people have still got the same opportunity that should be available to them as well. Success depends on the first 90 days. So I talked just briefly about how the support that we give people when they're in work is just as important. It's making sure that we give those clear expectations and really good onboarding. This is something that, again, I'm particularly passionate about. Onboarding is one of the most important things for these people that we're you know, where we're kind of like giving people the same opportunities. Retention creates real value, and this is where it starts to benefit employers. So every avoidable early exit costs time, money, and morale. So recruitment success, it's not just about filling vacancies, it's keeping good people and helping them to thrive once we've got them there. We also know that there are many employers aren't aware of the support available through schemes. So schemes like Access to Work, which can help fund practical workplace adjustments. We work with participants to prepare them for work. And in the past, as I mentioned before, they're let down by employers that are usually fearful, not because of anything that they do. It's usually just simply a lack of knowledge. So why is this agenda becoming more important now? And it's because the labour market itself has changed. So Lisa just touched on it there, but we can no longer treat health and work as separate conversations. Essentially, health should be a part of every conversation for every employer, because the cohort of people that we're working with is growing with health conditions and all of those things that I mentioned before, not necessarily health conditions, but those people that have got caring responsibilities. If we're not supporting with grandchildren, maybe we're supporting with elderly parents or family members who have got health conditions as well. So it's really important. And the entry barriers, maybe people that want to work but might face anxiety. One of the things that I've learned over the years is that most people don't not want to go to work. There is usually an underlying fear, and that is probably because they've got anxiety, pain, fatigue, neurodiversity needs, or low confidence or loss of routine. They're the things that stop people from wanting to go to work. And then there's those retention barriers, others get into work but struggle to stay there because needs aren't identified early enough. And also that is a point where employers can really come into their own. And, if it's not, if issues aren't addressed in the very early stages, what happens is that employee will leave that business and they will tell anyone and everyone that they weren't supported when they were there. So I think it's really important that we just ask the right questions. And as Lisa's touched on before, it doesn't necessarily mean to be costly, not always. It can just be really, really small, reasonable adjustments that we make. And many in work can't move forward because of stress, disrupted learning. I mentioned before that essentially people, once they're in work, if we treat people right, they'll stay in work. So basically what this means is there's a growing need for practical, non-clinical support that helps people move towards work, stay in work, and also progress once they're there. And that principle doesn't only apply to recruitment, it also applies strongly to apprenticeships, as I mentioned, and to workforce development. So an example of this is the support that we give with our learner support programme. We've created a model of support because apprentices and learners often don't fail because of ability, they fall behind because life gets in the way, as I've mentioned before. There might be those confidence dips, stress builds, time management slips are really difficult for young people, particularly in apprenticeships, who are trying to balance, maybe an upsetting life with work and also their study as well with their apprenticeships. The support helps our learners to stay on track through personalised one-to-one interventions, and they can include building confidence and motivation, supporting mental well-being when life happens, and study and time management, really, really important. But really, really important for those people is navigating workplace relationships to make sure that what they probably see as confrontational is actually not. It's just probably somebody asking them why they've not completed something that they were asked to do. But equally, what this learner support programme does is it really supports the employers as well. So those employers that do have apprenticeships, it allows for better retention, stronger performance, reduced absence, more productive teams. People are coming in to work and we're actually with what we call presenteeism. They're there, but they're not actually doing as much as we would like them to be doing, probably because of an underlying health condition that we've just not questioned enough about. And ultimately, that takes us back to the core message of today's webinar. And this is the final slide. And I think for me really sums up social recruitment in one message. There's talent in every community. Sometimes it simply needs the right opportunity, the right support, and an employer willing to look beyond traditional filters, which is so, so key to this. When business recruit inclusively and support people well, everyone benefits. Learners succeed, employers strengthen their workforce, communities gain opportunity. Remember, every person that an employer is supporting, that then filters out to their families as well. And lives genuinely change. Social recruitment's not charity, as Lisa's mentioned before. It's not lowering standards. It's, in my opinion, it's smarter recruitment, stronger retention, and fairer opportunity. And that's why it matters for communities and for business. And I'd encourage every employer listening today to reflect on 2 questions. Are we selecting only the polished, or are we spotting some real potential? And once people join us, are we giving them the support to succeed? Are we asking those curious questions? Because opening the door wider is only the first step. Success comes from what happens next. And that's all from me. So I'm going to hand back to Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Inspirational as ever. We are going to pass over to Ruby back to work now. So if you can just prepare your slides and to go. And just before we move on to Ruby, I think, you know, a real clear message there around the weighting of recruitment and retention. And it's super, super important that as businesses, as providers, that we focus on both of them with equal weight. There is no point putting people into a leaky bucket. There's no point as a business having a leaky bucket when it comes to recruitment. And I think we need to work really hard together to make sure that we are getting the right jobs to the right people at the right time with the right support. And that, for me, that really sums up why we're all here in this room. And it leads on really nicely to what Ruby's going to talk about. Ruby's going to talk a little bit about the pre-employment element of social recruitment, where we can really look at targeted support to get people trained, to get people ready, and to get people knowing what's coming next after kind of day one of employment. So Ruby, over to you.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm just going to set up my timer so I don't over do it. So I'm Ruby from Back to Work. I'm hoping everybody can see my slide.
Yep.
So I personally work for Back to Work, but as a LEAP group, we have 3 different organizations under LEAP group. Back to Work offers pre-employment training courses from level 1 to level 3. LEAP Talent is all about IT and digital HR training with apprenticeship opportunities and skills boot camp. LEAP Trade, we offer skilled professionals the apprenticeships, training, skills boot camp in, you know, gas, electric, other skills, trade apprenticeships. So as a LEAP group, we specialize in training. Our aim is to work together and bridge the gap between the learners who want to grow and employers who need skills to thrive. So that's a little bit of our organization information. So since we've been around, that was 2011, we are a national training provider, covering a lot of regions in the country. Since we've been around, we've helped 100,000 learners completing their pre-employment training courses, 60,000 plus individuals completing their apprenticeship, skills boot camp. And for year 2025, we've had Ofsted rating with good rating, which is quite good, 92%. So we were pleased to know that we are a really good Ofsted rating for year 25. Some of the case studies from our learners who've successfully completed our pre-employment training courses, our digital courses, as you can see, you know, these learners completed our accredited qualification and moved into employment, some of them. And now I'm going to give you some more information about what we offer as a training provider in non-devolved areas. So in terms of pre-employment training, we offer sector-based qualification, from contact center to warehousing to teaching assistant, health and social care. So we offer a variety of different courses. And this is not the end. We do offer digital bite-sized courses and higher level skills courses, from coding and programming, website design, social media for e-commerce. So we have variety. So all of these courses are government funded courses from adult skills funding. If they meet the eligibility criteria, it's free of cost. And now let's talk about the employers we've been working with. As a training provider, time to time we do work with local and national employers, providing free recruitment service to employers. That's where the social recruitment part comes in. So social recruitment is very important, key element to our organization, where we want our learners to complete our accredited qualification and move into potential jobs, and help them getting somewhere in life in terms of getting back into work, because we do work with learners who've been out of work for a short period of time or long period of time to time. We work with AKG, for example, across the country, Restart Scheme, Connect to Work, Living Well, to help those individuals getting back into work. So these are some of the employers we've been working with or work with, who offer social recruitment, which is always good. In last year, we worked with Tesco's. We worked with Teleperformance, where Teleperformance offered working from home opportunities across the country. 100+ jobs being offered through Teleperformance, so it's always good, benefiting from social recruitment. Let's now move on to our mission. So our mission is to unlock individual potential with our relevant skills tied into real jobs, support employers by training job-ready candidates, measure success by career outcomes, not just qualifications. How we use social recruitment. We promote our courses, skills pathways, and job opportunities. So we would work with local and national employers, talk about their recruitment needs, what they need, and we sift candidates with our our employer engagement. They offer that sifting process, our qualification, share success stories and learner outcomes to build trust, connect with employers to match candidates to roles. So that's how we use social recruitment within our business. Why social recruitment matters: broader reach, wider audience than traditional job boards, better engagement, is a two-way interaction with the learner, with the employer. Insights, inform what roles and skills are in demand, and we work with those learners, the employers. Social recruitment in practice. Employer partnerships mean training aligns with job market needs. Where relevant, we arrange guaranteed job interviews with employers after courses completion. So our learners would have that opportunity where they're not being able to get through to the interview stage due to this online recruitment process, where you have this sifting software. So I think social recruitment is very important. Social channels help maintain engagement from enrollment to employment. So that's how we use social recruitment in practice. And takeaways from this presentation: back to work equipped learners with skills employers want. Social recruitment strengthens connections between the learner and employers. It's not just about training, it's about successful job outcomes for us. And that's the takeaway from this presentation. And thank you for listening to me. If you have any questions, just please ask. And if you like to get in touch with me, I'll leave my email address in the chat, and we can have that opportunity to connect in the future. And that's it really from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby. And
You're
I think,
welcome.
just a quick round off of that before we have a minute or so for questions, is that the biggest thing that I see in the labour market, and the most, I guess, scary thing, if I'm being real, is the speed of change. And it's the speed of change around skills that employers want and employers need. So having that connection to skills businesses that can help upskill participants if you're a provider on this call, if you're not working with Back to Work, please do reach out to them. They have some great courses. But also, if you're employers, it's super important that if you're an employer, that you engage with us so that we build courses that meet the skills needs that you have and not the skills needs that we think you have. That is so important. And because the speed of change around skills is just it is terrifying at the moment. 1 minute left. I'm just going to open the floor up if anyone has any questions. We did have the Q&A open for the call. We got one in there. But is there anyone else who's got a question before I go on to that one? No. You're all very shy. But that's absolutely fine. If anyone does want to reach out to anybody who's been on the call, we'll send a bit of a roundup. We'll send the slide decks PDF'd, and we'll also send the information of the people who's on the call, so you've got the contact details. With the hope that we don't go over time, I'm going to finish there. And Betty, I'll reach out to you regarding your question you've got in the Q&A. I'd like to thank everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully you'll join us on another webinar for the ones that are up and coming. See you all soon. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.